Thanks for tuning in to IoT Connect, where we're covering some of the most interesting topics, trends, and news around the Internet of Things. IoT Connect is brought to you by TEAL, a wholly owned, patented eSIM platform that connects any IoT device to any network around the world. Now, I'm excited to welcome you all to this episode of IoT Connect. If you're like us and you're passionate about IoT, be sure to click that like button and hit that subscribe button below so you don't miss a beat. Today, I'm excited to welcome Peter Ellegaard and Kathleen Glass from AquaSpy to the show. Peter's the CTO and founder of the company, and Kathleen heads up their marketing. We're going to get into this, but AquaSpy's intelligent ag tech solutions do more than monitor soil moisture. They show you how your plants are doing every day, every minute. They're revolutionizing farming and ag tech. So I'm really excited to have both of you on our show. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
So I thought we'd kick off with just if you guys can provide an intro to AquaSpy and how your intelligent cloud-based IoT agriculture platform is transforming farming, that would be great.
Yeah, I'd be happy to launch that off. Yeah, what's different about what we do at AquaSpy is that we look at what's going on in soil layer by layer. So every 4 inches, 10 centimeters down to about 48 inches. And we look at the moisture, as you indicated, the temperature, and the salinity, as well as what's happening with the roots. And that's really where the excitement and the information comes in for the grower, is that it's not just, is my soil wet or dry? I mean, you could, stick your finger in there and know that, but is the crop actually getting what it needs? Is the moisture getting down to the active root zone? And is the crop taking that up? And as we're evolving and looking at other technology sensors that we're adding to this, we're going to add things like nitrate and redox, because we know there's a lot of things going on in the soil that interact with each other and help the health of the crop. And it's all focused on, can I achieve a good yield but optimize those inputs? Because the growers really want to have great yields, but they also have to make a profit as well.
That's a key point. Yeah. So just having that data they need and helping to increase their profitability. That's kind of an obvious problem that you guys are solving. That's wonderful. This next question is for Peter. Peter, maybe you can share your story and how you ended up launching AquaSpy. I think our listeners would be really interested in hearing that.
Of course. So I have worked almost my entire career in the cellular business, first making mobile phones years and years ago. Then in late teens, in 2010, 2009, I got together with our CEO, Bruce Moore. He had just acquired AquaSpy from an Australian company that had launched the product as not as a SaaS business, but as a just buy the product and use it kind of product, not cloud connected and all of those things. And he said, well, let's turn it into a SaaS business and let's cloud connect it and let's start doing some intelligence behind it. And so that's how we basically recapitalized the company and started pretty much all over. There is nothing left of the original company in terms of technology or behavior. Everything is moved towards a machine learning platform, cloud connected, and where we constantly bring in new products that have more and more capability.
Oh, that's so cool. So before your involvement, AquaSpy was almost this static, non-connected device or IoT platform, and you really helped to bridge that connection and connecting it and making it cloud-based.
So we did have some cellular connectivity, but it wasn't brought into a cloud platform, and there was no data mining. There was none of the cool stuff that we do today was performed. It was basically just receive the data, present the data in some simple graphs, and you make your own decisions as you see fit. That's not really a product. Yeah, it brings the data in, or sometimes it brings it in. Some would also go and pull the data from an SD card in the device and then post-process it themselves. So there's basically a whole evolution that took place. On top of it, the probes themselves have also evolved from just being a simple moisture probe to now also be we can calculate the salinity of the soil, and soon we'll be able to measure nitrate and oxygen in the soil as well.
Well, if I can add on to that, what's really interesting is I think that this is also sort of the story of the convergence of IoT and tech, right? Because you moved to the cloud, and originally it was powered by solar panels on towers, and there was a cable connecting them, and the critters chew the cables, and the seagulls poo on the solar screens. And it works, but it's not ideal. And so as things that help the miniaturization and the power of technology, so batteries have really improved, battery technology, and then you bring in the capability of a TEAL eSIM, and like you said, we already know this, you connect anywhere. And one of the big challenges back in those days when the AquaSpy first started was getting the connectivity. Even if you put a big tower up and a big solar panel and boom that power as far as you can, it's still really hard to connect in farms. They're rural, they're really far from everything, quite often for a good reason. And so now with the convergence of smaller form factors, better battery life, lower bandwidth, and more powerful connectivity with the eSIMs, we were able to, even in the last couple of years, miniaturize this and now have completely wireless sensors that go below ground, pretty much just disappear. And even with the sensor being low to the ground now, it connects even in a cornfield, which is really very transformational. It's easier to use, easier to install, it's faster, it's more reliable, and also now we can be global, right? So we can help growers everywhere. So it's really kind of interesting watching all of this capability evolve.
And so, you bring up a good point. These farms where you're deploying your technology, they're not just in rural locations, but your technology is deployed around the globe. Can you give us a better understanding of just the breadth of that, some of the different countries where you're deploying your solutions today?
Of course, we have presence in, I think, 17 or 18 countries today.
Wow.
And just this spring, we deployed 100 units in Kenya with a partner. And actually, it's Kenya and Uganda. And it worked flawlessly. I would almost say that there's better cell reception in Kenya than there is in Canada.
Well, they all live on their phones, right? So,
Yeah. So it was remarkable. It went completely seamless, no issues whatsoever. And that's one of the testaments to your technology, because as any other IoT provider over the years, we've had several relationships with providers. And for the first many years, it was individual relationships. So we had a relationship with Verizon, we had with AT&T. And whereas they are great relationships, they are very limiting because we are in the very rural part of the world. We don't necessarily know who has coverage there. When you look at coverage maps, they say we have coverage everywhere, and everybody knows that that's not true. But who is actually in that particular location? And to make matters worse, we are stationary. We have one shot. It's not like driving a GPS tracker around, where you will get shots throughout the day. We get one shot, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So having an eSIM that is capable of connecting to multiple networks without any preference is highly valuable. And it is probably the most valuable part about our cellular relationship, that we have this ability to put a standard SIM out and it will find the best service at any given time.
Wow, that's really great to hear. And we certainly appreciate the opportunity to work with AquaSpy and to help your deployments around the world, from Canada to Africa. That's really exciting. Beyond our partnership, maybe we can talk a little bit about what the future of connected farming will hold. What type of technologies and other types of partnerships are you guys really excited about?
Yeah, I can give that a shot. It's interesting. We focus below the ground, but really what we're seeing is growers care about what's below the ground, what's on the plant. You see sensors now, you see leaf bombs and sensors and probes that will go into the stalk or the trunk, as well as what I'd call above the ground. And above the ground there are a lot of things going on above the ground. There are drones. I mean, I saw just tons of stories even just today about how much there's drones and applications and scouting and different uses in farming. I think you're going to see a lot of that. And then we're also seeing a lot of more use of the low satellites. So
Mhm.
we're seeing a lot of companies launching satellites, low Earth satellites that are going to be looking at evapotranspiration or also kinds of doing different sensorings, what's going on in the canopy side of things. And there's similar technologies to ours as far as a form factor where they're doing AI and they're analyzing the bugs on the in the field or on the tree. And so they're trying to do pest detection. And so it's really interesting. And that's not even including things like laser weeders and all the connected vehicles and autonomous
Yeah.
sprayers and things like that. So you think of an interesting technology and it's moving into ag as far as, things that were all as technologists and ag technologists inventing, and it's part of that convergence of the technology we were talking about, right? The miniaturization, the power, the EV power, the batteries, the autonomous piece of it, the AI piece of it. All of those things are coming together to make farming really smart as well these days.
Yeah, I mean, if you're outside of the agriculture farming business, you wouldn't think that it's so advanced. I mean, you mentioned drones, laser weeders, autonomous robots that are, picking fruit and determining if they're ripe or not, all the way down to the soil and the moisture levels and things like that. I mean, farming is extremely advanced, and it's only advancing further from here. Maybe you can touch on, some of the sectors within farming that benefit the most from AquaSpy's technology.
Well, it's interesting. And I always tell people, don't say it's everything, but it's everything. So I, I don't know that there's anything that we can't help. So we started out in the Midwest, primarily in the corn, soy, wheat kind of world, right? In the row crops. And that was somewhat limited through, as we said, the bandwidth and the technology and the things that were available back in those days. And because you can't take, you don't want to take that giant tower that we were talking about in the 48-inch probe and put it in a little strawberry. The strawberry doesn't need any of that. If you're going to run your laser weeder over it, you better be closer to the ground, not have a tower that's going to get in the way. And so the miniaturization, being able to go wireless, has allowed us to move into what I'll call specialty crops. So we'd also sort of through that transition, we'd moved into permanent crops, all the orchards, so the nuts and the fruit trees. We're seeing a lot of interest. Blueberries are a hot thing these days. And so there are lots of different blueberry varietals, lots of different regions all around the world growing blueberries. So blueberries just been interesting to me that suddenly everybody's growing a blueberry and is using sensors for that because they're kind of fussy and they have, different things that they need. Then as we're moving into specialty crops, that's just about any kind of fruit and vegetable that you could imagine, right? Interest ginseng and mint and all the normal things, the tomatoes and the zucchinis and the melons. We have been doing a lot of work with the little specialty melon guys, and I had no idea that you think of branding, and the reason that the specialty crops want this, it's much different than I'm growing thousands of acres and thousands of bushels of something. I just care that I want a lot of it because it's a commodity. When you move to the specialty crops, like a strawberry, a named strawberry, you just think about it. You know about a cosmic crisp apple. You know about a Driscoll strawberry. You know about a Cracker Jack watermelon. And those really care about the quality and the consistency. You don't want to just pump that watermelon or that strawberry full of water. You want to use process control through the data that we provide to optimize and tune it so you get that brand promise delivered for the juiciness and the ripeness at the perfection for the consumer. And so it's interesting in learning about how and why the different needs are within the different crops. But we do different things with cotton, with hemp, a lot of seed crops. So all of those crops have a need. We have lots of hops. We have all of those crops have a different need and a profile. And so part of what smart people in our team, like Peter's team and the data scientists and the AI folks and the machine learning folks, we build a template basically for every crop. And so it's tuned to what each of those crops need, right? Because obviously a hop and a strawberry and a corn plant all want something very different at different times of the seasons with different triggers into, what's going to make them optimized in their growth phase. And so that's kind of what's fun is seeing the difference of those, and even just by region, the corn in Texas is different than the corn in Nebraska. So it's not, the nice thing is that we've tuned the technology. So we're not trying to just do one size fits all. We know that each of these needs something different.
If I can chime in, one of the new exciting areas that I believe is bound to happen is on the sustainability and regenerative side of things. So consumers will continue to request more and more sustainable products for multiple reasons. First of all, it makes you feel better when you buy sustainable products, but also because it's a higher quality. Once the happier the soil is, the healthier the soil is, the better tasting products you can generate. And so it feeds itself. So I expect that we will see a significant growth in the sustainability market, which will require products that understands the health of the soil, that understands the health of the crop, not just a product that has been mass produced with the highest possible yield and a so-so taste.
Yeah, I totally agree, Peter. I was just out at the Potato Sustainability Alliance Summit, and it was so fascinating that the passion around potatoes, and potatoes that make the perfect French fries, potatoes that make the perfect potato chip, the ones that are the fresh potatoes you get to your dinner table. And that whole industry, that whole potato industry, has a big sustainability focus. I think they're kind of leading among all of the different produce sectors on that. And so they're really working toward a standard that actually will go up from the grower to the producer to the consumer brand that's buying it, the food chain that's then turning that into French fries or potato chips. And that's a big movement. There's a lot of interest in that.
I love that. The happier the soil is, the happier the end product and the better tasting, that fruit, right, that potato, whatever it is.
It's that simple. It's really that simple.
Yeah.
And consumers are picky now. I mean, we are very aware of what we're putting into our body, how things taste, and people are going to choose, sustainable, organic products when they can.
From good soils.
But you used to be forced to pay a higher premium or higher price for that. I believe there's going to be a trend where the better we understand the soil, the less input the soil will need to generate the same product. Therefore, it's no longer an economical decision. Well, it's economical for the farmer or the grower because he can use less inputs, i.e., he can have a higher profit out of his products. And on top of it, they taste better and they're better for you.
Yeah,
it's benefiting everybody.
Yeah, and we already know that from water, from our focus on water. And so that's really what we want to move to as we're studying the nitrate and the nitrate fertilizer, and that same kind of concept of, well, if we can time the application and amount of the water by analyzing it and then giving that data to the grower, we should be able to do the same thing with the fertilizer, which is going to put less nitrates in our soil. It's going to put less nitrates in our drinking water. It's going to balance the crop. So it's going to take just what it needs and not have an excess or overbloat it.
That's wonderful. So I want to ask, because I'm sure there's some people that will listen to this that will want to learn more. Are there any events that you guys are attending on the horizon where people can find you and learn a little bit more about AquaSpy?
Yeah, thanks for asking, Rob. Yeah, it actually depends on where you are in the country. We talked about some of the different crops. So if you're a corn or a soy grower, we're probably out this week at a field day. I know we're certainly out in Washington State. We're at a smart orchard field day up there in Washington with those wonderful apples we were talking about. Next week, we're going to be out in Iowa. And for the Tech Hub Live event, we're going to see you folks there at TEAL. So you're going to be out there with us. And then after that, we've got Connect Fruit and Vegetable Grower in November, the Amarillo Farm and Ranch Show. That'll be fun. Yeehaw. And and then we'll also have the Almond Conference coming up in December. And then January is just the crazy time of year. We have so many events. We've got the Potato Expo and a couple other things that we're doing as well. And so, we really like to have the opportunity to connect with the growers as well as our partners, because we work through a channel. We have a lot of partners, retailers, agronomists, seed dealers, other technology folks like you and like the TEAL folks. And so we like to connect with both the exhibitors as well as the attendees, looking for future partnerships and other folks that are really passionate about creating healthy soil, improving sustainability, and making a better crop.
And we're here in Washington, so if you can help us with our apples and keeping them delicious and healthy, and we'll
Yes.
benefit. At least I will benefit from that in a good way. So that's good.
So a little unsolicited kudos to you guys. I want really to congratulate you on your platform and your SIM. It has been completely seamless for us to integrate the TEAL SIM into our product line, and we have switched everything over to TEAL. It works every single time. Well, if there is connection in that neighborhood where we put it in. But it has really been a very, very easy exercise of integrating TEAL into our product line. Had no real issues of any sort. The reliability is super high. We haven't had any real issues of any sort to complain about. So kudos to you guys.
That makes us very happy. Peter, thank you for that. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, and that's saying a lot, because the other thing that technologists don't get about ag is it's tough. It's dirty. It's hot. It's cold.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very rugged environment. So it's really saying a lot that, it's not just commercial off the shelf stuff that's just going to work. You've got really, something that's very reliable, that's going to work in all seasons, whether it's the frozen tundra of North Dakota with the winter wheat, or whether it's there in Egypt, keeping the sugar beets wet.
You guys are literally all over the globe. It's really impressive. So where can people find you online if they want to learn a little bit more?
We're at www.aquaspy.com. You can find us on LinkedIn. We're also still on, I think it's called X now. I'm trying to retrain myself. And we're also pretty active on Facebook as well.
Well, there you have it. Thank you both for coming on our show. For those that are out there, you can visit TEAL at teal.io. And there's a link there where you can check out this episode and previous episodes. And so you don't want to miss a beat. Check us out online. Thank you to Peter. Thank you to Kathleen. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob. Take care.
Bye.